Welcome to Power User with Crash Long Johnson. That's me. In the previous episode, we looked at the adaptive card introduction and gave a brief introduction on adaptive cards. In this episode, we're going to look at the adaptive card components. Let's get started and jump over the computer. Now that we're at a computer, we got our tab over here for our browser, and to get to the adaptive cards, you're just going to do the https adaptivecards.io. It's going to get you to the main adaptive card screen and page, and it's going to have documentation, Schema Explorer, samples, blog, and designer. What we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to jump over to designer. And then designer comes up with just a default of the published adaptive card schema that you can take a look at. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and get things set so we can look at how we're going to have it ready for teams whenever we get to the actual build, which would be in the next episode. And then from there, we're going to also do one more episode after that to tie it all together with Automate and Teams. So for my host app, I'm going to go ahead and get this flipped over to Microsoft Teams Lite. And I'm also going to go ahead and change the target version to 1.3 because 1.3 right now is supported with Automate and Teams. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a new card so we can look at the components and the elements. So right now we're going to go ahead and select a blank card. So here's our blank card. So we got it set for Microsoft Teams Lite and target version of 1.3. So we got a few card elements over here. We got our container, which container we can put things inside of it. So grouping them together. An image set, we can have a bunch of images inside the sets, kind of lumping them together. A fact set, we could do multiple things with a fact set. And then a column set. So we can have multiple columns. Elements, we got a text block, so we can actually do text. We got a rich text block, an image, media, action set. So we're going to really kind of focus on a lot of things that works well within the Automate and Teams, because there are a few of these things that just won't actually work well because it's not completely supported yet for Automate and Teams. So container again, you're just drag and drop these things over. So there's our container. If I want a couple of text boxes in the container, I can drop that into the container. If I want another one, I can drop another one inside that container. So as you see over here, our card structure, we got them both in the container. They're set in the container. If I want something outside of the container, I can drag a text box. Now you can see that we got it outside of the container. It's inside the adaptive card. So with the text block, what you're doing is in the text block itself. We can do either the ones in the container or just outside. But we can go over here to our element properties, and I can sit here and say, hello world. From here, we can do a few changes. We can change the style. So I can have a default monospace. We can change the size. So we can make that like a medium. We can also change the color. We can make it dark. We can also change the weight. We can make it bolder. Change the size to large. So that we see a difference. We can do alignment if we want to center. We also have, if it's long, we can have a wrap. So various things that you can do with that text box. With a fact set, go ahead and drop us a fact set in here. With a fact set, this is really nice when all of a sudden maybe we need to call out something that is going to be pulling into our future adaptive card notification that we're going to be building. So with the fact set, we can actually sit here and say like ID number, I could type. And then we also sit here and add like trail. And for the value, I'm just going to put an X and another X. So what this will be helpful for is when we actually build one in the next episode, you'll see this come into play because we're actually going to be wherever those X's are. When we get to the Power Automate episode, you'll see that those X's are telling us what information we're going to put in there from the SharePoint item. You can also have an image and just drag and drop that. An action set. We add this action set in here. Make sure we got that outside the container. It is. So we have an action set. We can add an action. And here we can do open URL, submit, show card, toggle visibility. So we're going to do the open URL. With this, it has us pretty much a button that we're going to utilize. We can also add another action, so I can have more than one actual button inside of our action set. And from here, I can go ahead and click on one of the actions. We're going to give it a title. So we can say view request. And then a URL. We'll go ahead and give it a URL. An example would be like, hey, actually using some Power App deep linking where we could actually have it open up the Power App itself. Or you can just give it a URL address. Another one, we could sit here and say, hey, I want to do FAQs. And then URL could be to your SharePoint communication site page that has some FAQs listed for them. So various things that you can do there. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get ready for our next episode where we're going to really go through this a little bit better as far as on those areas that really work and containers and elements that really work within the Automate and Teams, and to get you an adaptive card that can utilize for a notification for your intake forms. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, keep learning.